How are you doing today? I've been speaking about mindset. What is mindset? Mindset is all about the way we are perceiving reality, the way we are thinking, and on the cause and effect by connecting the dots, the way we are deciding either by the gut or by assessing and effort, and finally the way we are deciding uh, and by the gut or by assessing the benefits and effort, and finally the way we are acting with consistency and conviction or responding with consistency and conviction. So just to summarize, it is perceiving, thinking, deciding, and acting or responding. That is what mindset is about. And my journey has been to really talk about my experiences in changing the mindset. And so I've been asking you to do a small activity, small exercise to talk to your friends, neighbors, relatives, and colleagues on their perception of the current reality of the people to people interactions post COVID-19 lockdown, and what you believe their perceptions would be. Find the commonalities and differences and start a dialogue to establish a common collective mindset. That has been the request which I've been placing every day. I do that today again in the beginning and once again at the end. If you have done that, please share something with me. If you have not done that, please try doing it. It's only a question of taking a decision to jump in, and that's even a mindset. You know, your subconscious is not really allowing you to do that because it really doesn't see much sense, and I'm sure it takes some time to really get that conviction that it is necessary, because acting is always with conviction and consistency, and you'll do that. It will take some time. Talking about taking some time, today I had a very nice experience which I want to share. Sometime back, I think about three years back, I have a client who is into horticulture, and they basically maintain farms, big farmlands, and this client doesn't really have much of zero budget natural farming. I don't know whether you've heard of that. Zero budget natural farming is a methodology which has been established by Maharashtrian by name Palekar, and he mainly tried to understand how plants and trees grow in jungles. Again, there is a lot of wisdom for us from jungle and from way the plants and trees grow there, because there is what is called as a symbiotic relationship between the plants in two senses. One is in two aspects. One is physical symbiotic relationship, because when you look at a tree, big trees, if you have plant only one tree, then it will fall down. If you have got multiple trees planted together, it won't fall down because of the roots getting intertwined. You know, the roots are going to be intertwined like this, something like this. Let us say the roots are coming in, so they're intertwined. Therefore, the tree would not fall down because of winds. So that's one of the physical symbiotic relationship. Then the other one is the chemical, I would say, symbiotic relationship, wherein a plant which is generating nitrogen, for example, is or when they call it as a nitrogen fixating plants, which mostly, in my opinion, in my understanding, are monocot plants. And if they are planted, they normally grow also closer to the ground, and they are planted nearer the roots of the plants which are needing nitrogen to grow, the big trees, and where they need more energy. So then the plant which is fixating the nitrogen, which basically is absorbing nitrogen from the atmosphere and fixating it in the soil, will supply nitrogen to the plant which is needing the nitrogen. That's the symbiotic relationship in the plant kingdom in a very, very macro level. The way I have understood, I've tried to explain that to you. Of course, the researchers, botany, can speak about that much more than what I do. And that is the miracle of a jungle. So in jungle, you don't have single crop at all. Always there are multiple plants, multiple crops. So that's something which can be translated directly to our life, wherein diversity is something which is a phenomenal benefit to all of us. So question is, what way is diversity helpful? Companies have targets for ensuring that there is diversity, and to have a diverse workforce is better than having a unified workforce. So and so and so, that's something which is spoken very, very widely, and many companies practice that too. Where does the diversity come into picture is basically when it comes to mindset. When you have got a diverse workforce coming from different backgrounds, their mindset is different, and therefore their perspectives are different. Therefore, especially when it comes to strategy development, and improvisation, which is the fundamental core essence of agile mindset. Diversity plays a big role because imagine having 50 people thinking more or less in the same way, who are brought up in the same culture, and their mindset is more or less similar. They cannot be identical at all because each one has a different experience, but more or less similar, I would say, because if you look at it, many a times we get along with people who are having the same wavelength, and same wavelength people are the ones who would have had more or less similar experiences like ours in our lives, and we can share with them so that they also can understand what our experiences were, and their experiences we can understand. So therefore it becomes much more easy to have friends who have had similar experiences, which means that they have got similar mindsets. Now, having such a set of people who have got similar mindsets is good because you can then create them into machines, because they're going to be doing the same way, identical way. But that is not going to really help you in a very, very turbulent and uncertain and volatile environment, because where you need to be taking decisions on your toes, and you need to be really thinking on your toes. Sorry, it's not decisions. It's a wrong statement. I think I made a mistake in the beginning also. Today has been a long day for me, so pardon me for that. So thinking on the toes and deciding very, very quickly, because a lot of things are changing. And in such an environment, you need people who are having diverse backgrounds and diverse mindsets, because they come from a different perspectives. So some perspective will be more effective than the other. Therefore, you have a higher chance of victory, higher chance of success. That is one aspect of it. Second is when you're developing a strategy, in case you are involving people from different mindsets, and then they have a collective mindset. Individually, they're different, but collectively, you have evolved one collective mindset. Then they more or less think alike when it comes to goals, when it comes to purpose, but intrinsically, their way of perceiving, thinking, deciding, and acting is not the same. Therefore, they come with different perspectives, and that's what that makes a strategy much more robust, so that it can get executed more effectively and more efficiently. So that's the learning which we can have from the plant kingdom to our companies and to our organizations, which is our main focus to really change and evolve our society as a collective group. So Palekar, I think it was Subhash Palekar, if I'm not mistaken. So he started this concept of what is called a zero budget natural farming. The idea is that you build a symbiotic garden or a symbiotic farm, wherein you would have plants helping each other, one physically, like I said, because of the intertwining of the roots. And this intertwining of the roots can only happen if you're planting very, very close. So that's again another interesting concept of the natural zero budget natural farming. You don't plant trees very far. Normally, in any farm, any man-made woods, the trees are not very close by, because there is a scare that the trees cannot grow well. So that's a wrong concept. Trees closer, the trees better are there. So in this natural zero budget natural farming, you plant the trees very close by so that the intertwining happens. And you also have a chemical symbiosis, wherein you are trying to plant nitrogen fixating plants along with nitrogen needing plants. Then you plant such species which basically attack the herbs, attack the pests. For example, chilies. Chili is a very classic example, or neem. So these are the ones which can depestify. So therefore, you plant those things in between. So in a particular land, there will be multiple crops, and it's called a multi-crop garden. Or the other words are a forest garden, which is again another technical word for such a plantation. Or permaculture is also another word which can be used, wherein you are having multiple crops in the same location which have symbiotic relationship. Similar to having a diverse workforce in a company, in an organization, to really achieve magic and miracles and amazing outcomes in such organizations. Now, this particular type of a symbiotic garden is grown in a place called as Bannur near Mysore. And there is a gentleman by name Krishnappa. He's known as Bannur Krishnappa. You can Google on internet, find out. Bannur Krishnappa is a very popular face of zero budget natural farming. So we had taken my client who's into horticulture to Bannur about 3-4 years back. There we were about 6 of us who had gone. Myself, the CEO of that company, the horticulture manager, and some of the gardeners, and all of us went there and then had a look at that farm. And I'm very much excited. I'm talking about 3 years back. Extremely excited, because that is something which is unique, because we have huge challenges to solve there. First is if you have a multi-crop farm, then harvesting becomes extremely difficult. You can't really use machines. You need people to do the harvesting because, or maybe robots are required, or some other technology is required because the traditional way of using machines for harvesting will not be possible there. That is one disadvantage. Second disadvantage is that the uh, pesticides which you spray, or the fertilizers which you spray, or the growth hormones, or whatever you're doing in a single crop farm, it is easy because for every plant you would possibly need a specific medicine, specific pesticide that can be sprayed together. In this case, there is no concept of any pesticide. They talk about what is called as jivamruta, which is basically a kind of a concoction made out of cow urine, native cow urine, not a hybrid cow urine, with cow shit and cow dung, and then there are other things which go into it to make what is called as jivamruta. That is a core manure for these plants. Pardon me, I'm talking about things which possibly is not very common with modern science and modern industry. And not with mechanical engineering, of course. I do that because it's quite interesting. My clientele are diverse, and that's something which I really enjoy because the experience and the exposure you get is totally different when you have diverse industries and diverse clients. So they have this jivamruta, and that is one. And the second is in terms of pesticide, they make it by mixing ginger, then garlic, onion, then you have chilies, then you have got I think neem. All these are mixed together, ground, and then you get a concoction out of that, and that's what is sprayed. So that's again is not something which kills the plant. That's what the gardeners were telling me today when I had gone to their farm. They were telling that it's something which will drive away the pests. It won't really harm any insect, but it will not allow the insect to sit there because of the concoction. It's quite irritating. The smell is pretty, and it's very very intense. You feel the burning in your nose when you spray that. Need to be a little careful. So this is a zero budget natural farming. And the other advantage is, since you have got a symbiotic relationship, the need for the water comes down a lot. And apart from this, you also do additional activities like mulching. Mulching is again another interesting feature, which is the process of degenerated waste, degenerated leaves and all that getting converted into manure, getting converted into soil. Basically, all this finally gets converted into soil over time. That's the natural process. And in jungles, it happens by the first thing happens is what is called as humus is formed on the top of the soil, and that's a very soft layer which has got mainly all the dried leaves and twigs which are falling there, and they start getting disintegrated through the and getting disintegrated through these earthworms. You must have heard of that. Earthworm is a very, and that those earthworms don't exist when you use chemical farming. So you need earthworms because they are the biggest warriors for any natural farmer. And the earthworms then disintegrate earthworms, and you got a lot of other microbes which disintegrate all these leaves and all, and it starts getting settled down, and that creates a kind of a coverage for the soil. So therefore, whatever water you pour into the plant will retain, will stay there for a longer time. If it is a normal, cleanly looking area, totally swept and totally cleaned area of a farm or a garden, then that is going to have a big problem because the entire soil water which is absorbed by the soil is constantly getting evaporated because of the heat. Whereas if you've got this humus which is formed on the surface, then the water evaporation is very, very less. Therefore, the water retention capacity of the soil is more. Therefore, the water need is very, very less, very, very less, in fact. So these are all the things which we saw there, and it was quite interesting. And you got a huge shade because the tall trees, which are very, very need more sunlight, are at the extremes. And as you go into the farm, these trees have create a kind of a mushroom on the top. And as you go into that denser area, then the denser area have got smaller plants which don't need so much amount of tree. You can even plant pepper and all because they grow with a lot of shade. So that is the way the garden is made. We went there and saw that. This is about 3 years back. And they said it is not possible, sir. It is not possible. That is okay. This is okay. It's not possible because their mindset at that time was not ready at all. So today I met them again. That's why I talk about this experience. Today I met them after 3 years. Today they were so excited to say that we will make form of that kind in our property, in our horticultural farm, wherever they're doing the maintenance. They want to create such a farm. If anybody is interested, please write to me. We'll definitely look at how to get you connected to those people, and then you can look at farming. It's horticulture. It's not manufacturing in any way, and it is horticulture in the natural way. Unfortunately, many of these species and seeds have died over the years because many of the companies which make uh, uh, these seeds, they have hybrid seeds today which grow better, which are having resistance to a lot of pests. And these hybrid seeds can only grow with some specific manure of theirs, otherwise it won't grow. They're all, they're a very, very what should I say, financially, economically motivated industry. Business is always economically motivated, capitalism. And so there, once you buy the seed from a company, then you need to also buy the fertilizer from the same company. You need to buy the pesticide from the same company. So it's a kind of a recurring cost which will never end. Whereas if you do zero budget natural farming, none of these are required. It's simple. That's why it's called a zero budget natural farming. So I tried to share a mindset today which took 3 years, and that's the basic core message for me, for all of you today. Changing mindset is not easy. I keep talking about whatever I've been talking about, and it took me 7 years to do this. I said I left my corporate life in 2013, and today I'm in 2020. And today I'm prepared to talk to you with so much amount of information and knowledge, and having realized so much. It has taken me 7 years. So I'm sure changing the mindset will take time. But the first step is extremely important. The first step, and after that, the journey becomes extremely exciting because you are in a constant discovery mode. It's like a child, you have the enthusiasm of a child, enthusiasm and the energy of a child. So age doesn't really matter. Your brain is always, I think I mentioned in one of my earlier videos that the neurons in the brain don't increase. They are more or less the same from the childhood. What increases are the connections. And moment you start thinking in these directions, your connections increase. And your connections increasing means more amount of dopamine is released continuously, which means you are more happier. You have a happier life, you are a healthier life. And at the same time, you're trying to understand the perspective of the other person and finding solutions for your own problems in your own way through an agile mindset. That's what agile mindset and change in mindset is all about. So let me come to the end of today's live session by again requesting you to do the simple exercise of talking to your friends, neighbors, colleagues, or relatives on their perceptions of the current reality of people-to-people interactions post-COVID-19 lockdown, and what you believe their perceptions would be, what you believe, and from your belief and their actual perception, try to find out the similarities and differences and start a dialogue to talk about evolving a collective mindset. Thanks a lot for watching. For those of you in India, have a nice evening. And for those of you outside India, have a great day ahead. And look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Tomorrow, I may get delayed a little. Today also I got delayed a little. I'm really sorry. Tomorrow, maybe also I get delayed a little. Please pardon for that. And see you tomorrow. Goodbye.